Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show. This is Cameron Nish with Apex Trader Funding. I am standing in for Gates Adams, who is the normal host here. He decided that a vacation would be good, so we are going to get going here today with our guest, Andrew Diaz. Many of you may know him, and he is an awesome trader. We're going to hear his story and see how he trades. So please join us for the Trader Bacon Show. We've got some winners from last week's giveaway. We've got Ryan, Mark, and Vanetta. Hopefully you guys have been able to get onto the Apex Trader Funding website, get you an account, and start trading with us. See how that goes. Always excited to hear your stories about your successes there and what you've been doing and how it's going for you. So please welcome Andrew Diaz as we get started with the Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Good morning, Cam. How are you doing?
It's doing well. It's a bright, sunny day here and excited to be talking to you. To get things started, just by way of introduction, this is Andrew Diaz. He runs a website, among other things, Discord groups and everything, called the stockmarketwolf.com is the website that you can visit him at, or he'll be giving some other information out during our interview here of other places that you can get in contact with him. But we are excited to have you here today. And we'd like to start out by maybe asking you a few questions about how you start your day. What do you do? What's your routine?
Sure. So I think trading routine and just a routine in general is really important because it enables you to have discipline, and discipline goes a long way when it comes to trading. And so over the course of my journey in trading, I've been trading since 2009. So we're at my 15th year. This will be my 15th year in the market.
Wow.
And every single year I've developed something new. But what I tend to do in the morning is I'm here on the West Coast. I'm in Southern California. So I get up at 5 a.m. I'll work out. I'll get a nice little run in, get something to get the body awake, take a quick shower, get ready for the day. I'll read. So I start stimulating my mind. I'll meditate and then just reflect. And then I always remind myself of my why, of why I started this journey. And then I do my pre-market prep, get everything situated, and give myself about 10 minutes before that market opens to just have quiet time and just not feel stressed. I'll maybe take some deep breaths and just relax. And that has evolved over the course of time, because when I very first started my trading journey, like many other people do, is I would just wake up, go and look at the charts and try to, pick something. And what I would find is that I would be very anxious. I wasn't prepared. And there's a really good saying, not to sound cliche, but if you're not prepared, you're preparing to fail, right? And what I have learned with trading is that there's so much that goes on outside of trading that leads into it. If I could be somebody that eats clean, if I could be somebody disciplined, if I can always keep my mind sharp, and think about our bodies being like a Lamborghini, a well-oiled machine, right? I want to make sure I'm putting premium gas in. I'm not going to go and put mud oil and mud gas into a Lamborghini. It's not going to work, right? And so with my body, I got to give it the best, and I have to be the best. So this way I perform at the highest level as I can when I come to trading. So my routine, I get up in the morning, work out, I'll read, I'll meditate, I'll reflect, remember my why, and then I'll do my pre-market prep. And what my pre-market prep entails is I first start off with the market news. So like today, for example, and I use a website called Forex Factory. It has like all the economic news for the day. I tend to trade only the NASDAQ or the S&P, in this case, ES, if I'm trading futures. Today we can see Powell, our Fed Chair Powell, speaks at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So within the next hour, we may see some volatility in the market. Now we've already saw a little bit of a surge in the market, but these are some of the things that I look at, and maybe there's news at sometimes there's news at 9:45 Eastern. That's 15 minutes into the day. So then I know, okay, well, the first 15 minutes of the market open may be very volatile, may be very choppy. I may want to wait for news to play out first before I take my trade, because what I don't want to be is on the wrong side of the response once the news happens. So the very first step that I look at is news. I look at catalyst. I look at, hey, is there going to be anything that may be impactful within the first hour that may sway what I'm initially thinking?
Yeah.
That's step one. Step two would be doing my technical analysis, drawing my levels, looking at my supports, my resistances, key levels that have happened within the week. And then step three would be to formulate my hypothesis. Am I going to go long? Am I going to go short? And where would I be taking my long trade or my short trade today? And then map out everything and get everything ready. As soon as the market hits, I'm ready to go.
Okay. So you're looking for biases in the market to kind of start with, and then you trade based a little bit on those biases through the day or for whatever your trading session is. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'll look at the catalyst and kind of see. I'll look at my levels, and now I tend not to be I'm not biased in any one way. I'm reactive. So I'll map out, okay, if this goes long, this is where I'll go to take my long trade. If this goes short, this is where I'll go to take my short trade.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
I just respond from there. But I map out both and I'm prepared for both. And then whenever that bias does finalize, whether it's from the news or the reaction from that news, now I'm already prepared to then further react.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So I have a question about your daily routine. Are there days when you don't trade? Maybe you get up and just kind of in a funk, and that what do you do on those type of days?
Yeah, so if I'm if personally I don't feel well, I'm not going to trade.
Okay.
If maybe I didn't get good sleep the night before, maybe I woke up too early, or I just don't feel in the right mental space, I'm not going to trade. And this goes all back. Everything that I do is very metric driven. So
Oh,
I always look at my metrics and I look at performance based off of other factors that are non-quantifiable. Like metrics, you could quantify the date that you traded, the time. You could even quantify your strategy by giving them different numbers. You could look at your P&L in response to that. There's many metrics that you could get that are quantifiable. Non-quantifiable metrics are like the why. Why did I take this trade? Why did I get out too early? Why did I do this? And then you could look at things from your own personal feeling of, did I feel good today? Did I not feel good today? And then starting to map that. And based off of my metrics that I look at, whenever I have not felt good leading into the day, I felt lazy or I just didn't feel 100%, my performance was always off. It's
I'm,
like a 70% loss rate when I'm not
oh
feeling at
wow.
my optimal, right? And so if I don't feel good, then I'm not going to sit at the screen looking at a trade.
Okay.
That's number one. If I don't feel good, I'm not going to trade. Number two is I'll look at the market. And if I feel great, I feel ready to go, but there's so much news on that week or even that day, and the market is staying within a certain level and it's not really being responsive. I'm also not going to force trades either. And I'm
Yeah.
completely okay with just getting up and waiting for a day that feels better to
Ah,
follow within my trading strategy.
that's tough. That is tough to do sometimes, especially for like new traders. You want to get in there and get the
Mhm.
trade and everything, but yeah, learning how to recognize that and to like not trade, that is a huge progress step as new traders come in. So I'm glad that you shared that with us. That's good advice.
No problem. Yeah, it's one of those things as a beginner, you just kind of want to keep going and going and going. And it's almost like a chicken with its head cut off, where you don't really know the direction of what you should be doing. You're just doing. And although there's some good learning lessons in there, it's only you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know what you're doing is wrong, you're just going to keep doing it. That's why it's really important to get educated, really important to have a mentor, really important to learn from others that have walked the line, so that you know and can learn from certain mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, and you're a guy that can help with that. So for that, if you wouldn't mind, let's take a look at maybe a trade that you put on today or in the last couple of days. If you'd
Sure.
want to share, yeah, share a screen and kind of walk us through what you see and how you look at the charts and all that good stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. So the very first step that I do every single morning is I do what's called a top-down analysis, right? So I'll start first looking at the 1 year chart, and from the 1 year chart, all I'm trying to gauge and all I'm trying to get out from here is, number one, trend, and number two is, do I have any key levels that may play a role to where I'm currently at now? Fortunately and unfortunately, right, we are at all-time highs. So I don't really have a lot of data to my left to go off of other than where I'm currently marked out for where my high is, right, which is right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing here. We have like a little support level roughly around there. So this is really the only data that I can get from the 1 year chart. So now I go from a year time frame and I zoom in and I look at a month. So that's for me the 20-day 1 hour chart. Now on this 20-day 1 hour chart, there's plenty of data that I could get from this to help me start to map out what I may be hypothesizing to look for a position today, right? And
Okay.
this is where I came up with, I have these green lines right here. These are my entry targets for the long today and for the short today. And
Oh,
this 650 level came from the previous trading day where we struggled for a little bit to break that 650. And then when we finally broke that 2650, when we did break, it came back down and that 2650 became a support level. So if I draw this little line right here, you'll see that we break it. When we break it, it comes back and these candles stay above it, holding support. And then we push up and then we had that huge sell off and then we hold the support down here. So then today, when I was looking at this setup for the pre-market, now I go from a year to a month to 5 days, which is a week, right? And I'm looking at the week and I'm looking and seeing, okay, well, do I have any activity in the pre-market that is closer to a support level or closer to a resistance level? And I see, well, here we're hitting that 650 again.
uh-huh.
And once we hit that 650, it came right back down into this 600 level, right? And so there's like a little box, right, within this little window of where I'm looking, where all the activity is happening during this market. Let me take my little drawing tool and draw in this little box here. So between 640 today and between this 600 is where we had majority of our activity. So what I'm looking for, right, is, okay, well, if we could break 650, which was my resistance that I had, if I could break that, then now we have a new window of opportunity.
Okay.
And then if we go underneath this 600, well, I have a support level here at 580. If I could break that, then I'll look for my short. So I'm targeting this morning, I targeted 650 for my entry for a call trade, and I targeted 580 to be my entry for a put trade. Well, based off of what we can see on the chart, the 580 did not happen. It got very close to there. But here is where we get a candle breaking and closing above that 650 mark, telling me that we are above that resistance level. So now I'm going to look to take my trade. And we took a trade today right here before it got to 670. It was somewhere within this little window. And currently right now it is up to 770. So
Nice.
right before I joined you, I was trading live with my team. We trade live Monday through Friday, where I go live and I do this breakdown every single day and I walk people through the trades. And so we took this trade from 670 into this 710, which was about a 50-point move, right?
Nice.
And so that 50-point move, every point that the NASDAQ makes is $20 in return. So 50 times 20 for one contract, you're making $1,000 in return.
Yes, love it.
Obviously, if you have Apex and you have multiple accounts, which is what would be phenomenal, right? You could easily go from, let's just say you had 10 Apex accounts. Well, you just made $1,000 on one account. You did have 10 linked together. You just made $10,000 total on the day for a move that made 50 points, where you prepared for everything that happened. And it's obviously gone even higher. I'm not going to give out my whole strategy of what I look at and for when I'm trading these, but we did take this long, and in this current position, I'm still holding some of my contracts. I trade with my own money, and so I use TD Ameritrade, but all of my clients and everyone that I have use Apex, and they use Trade08, and then they'll link it to TradingView. But this is where we took our entry today. It was based off of all of our statistics and everything that are all of our technicals, excuse me. And then we took the trade. We're getting close to that 9 o'clock mark here in 45 minutes. So what goes up may come back down once the news hits, or it may continue to rise. So as we get closer to the news and on the way up, what I like to do is something called trimming. So as soon as I'm in at 670 here, between 10 to 20 points from when I'm in, so right here at 680, here I'll draw another little box to just kind of show people, I think this is really important. Between 680 to 690, this is where I would take my first PT.
Okay.
Then the second PT would be between 710 and 790, another 10 to 20 points.
Yeah.
And then between 730 to 710 will be another PT. And then after that, I let the rest ride because I've already trimmed some. So let's assume maybe you traded 10 contracts, or let's just do 5 contracts. So then you've got 5 contracts or 5 units. You sell one within the first PT, sell the second one within the second PT, sell the third one within the third PT. Now you let 2 ride. And those other 2 units that are riding, they're giving you more money. Now, the question is, where do I get completely out? For me, it could be a situation where you go from one window, maybe you go from your third PT back to your second.
Okay.
Or how I do it is the remaining 2 contracts, I really don't care what happens to them as long as they come back home safe. So what I mean by that is if I got in here at the 70 mark, right, within this little window, I'm willing to let these things continue on as long as it doesn't come back to 70. As soon as it comes back to 70, this is my stop. This is where I get out, and I'll let this continue to ride.
Okay.
Once you first get in as well, for those people that are listening, you always want to set a stop. So what I do is I'll say, okay, well, if I'm going to get in here, where's my last leg of support? And for me, my last leg of support was right around within this 40 mark. So what that is saying, okay, well, I'm looking to get in here at 70. I'm willing to get stopped out here at 40. This is the 30-point move.
Yeah.
One 30-point move is a $600 loss. So then the question you need to ask yourself when you're first trading is, can I suffer a 600-point loss, or excuse me, a $600 loss on this one trade? And that's going to be dependent on your account size and also within what your rules and your parameters are, right? So you always want to give yourself to a fighting chance. So let's say there's people that have a $50,000 trading account, and I think your max drawdown is like $1,000 on the day, let's just say. Well, $600 loss on one trade, you're not going to want to do that because you're not giving yourself a fighting chance where if you're wrong to be able to battle back. Because if I lose twice, that's $1,200 that's not going to work. So you want to make sure you're within what is called your risk tolerance when you're trading. So how I prepare, aside from doing all this stuff, which I know is a huge overload for many of you that are listening, but I look at once I know my entry and I map out my entry, the first step I need to know is where's my stop. Now I take my entry to my stop and I calculate what that dollar difference is and what that dollar amount loss will be. And I determine if it's within my tolerance. Now, if I like my stop, I like my entry, and it's out of my tolerance, the alternative that you guys can do is trade, instead of NQ, trade MNQ, right? Trade the minis or the micros, whatever you want to call them. And
Love
instead of
them.
every 1 point being worth $20, every 1 point is now worth 2. So now that may give you the freedom to, number one, trade with more units, but then also stay within your tolerance. I know
Yeah.
that was probably a huge overload for some of you that may be listening, but these are the steps that you take as a good trader. Good traders prepare for the loss. They don't prepare for the win. As long as I'm within my tolerance, that's all that I care about. And trading comes down to 2 things. Number one, finding a high probability setup, which is why we do our pre-market prep, why we look at our certain targets for an entry, whether it's a call or a put or a long or a short. Then the second step, and the most important step, is mitigating risk. If I can find a high probability setup and I can mitigate risk, I'm putting the advantage in my favor.
That's what it's all about. So yeah, that is very cool. Thank you. That is an awesome trade here this morning. I think you're going to be buying lunch today.
Anytime, Ken. I'll fly
No.
over and get you one.
No, this is cool. This is why cool. And you're a trader educator. So where do people go if they want to follow you or get involved or see what you're teaching?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Stock Market Wolf. The handle is right there underneath the name. So Stock Market Wolf. And then you could go to stockmarketwolf.com, and we offer a variety of programs. You could trade live with me. You could trade live with me and get our education. We do in-person boot camps. We do one-on-one mentorships. And it's all to helping the client, based off of their need, become better, consistent, a more profitable trader.
Nice.
We aren't a signal group. So what I mean by that is I'm not here to say, oh, get in here, get out there, get in there. It's all about the education. And I'm, not to sound cliche, like the saying goes, you teach a man how to fish.
Love it.
Or they eat for a lifetime. You give a man a fish, they only eat for a day. So yeah. I'm all about teaching people how to fish. I'm not here to give out fish and you just eat just for the day. I want you to have a skill that you learn and develop that you can carry on for the rest of your life, and something that you can pass down to your children.
Yeah.
So that to me is where it's all about, and that's what we excel in.
Nice. Love it. Love it. So anybody that missed that, you can do the replay of this and catch those again here, or just check up on the screen. For the little bit of time that we have left, Andrew, I'd like to maybe if you would tell us like how you got started in trading, and like how it's changed your life, and kind of what where you're at, where you began and where you're at now.
Yeah, so the whole journey started in 2009, and I won't go through the entire story, but when I was in 2009, I became a single dad at the age of 19. So I raised my son by myself with the help of my parents, and I put myself through school and whatnot. But the day that changed my life was I get let go of my job. I was working at the mall at a store called Chance, which was owned by Foot Locker. I get let go from there. And on my way home, my mother calls me to pick up diapers for my son. And so I go to pick up diapers. I go to at Babies R Us when Babies R Us still existed. Yeah. And my car didn't go through. And here I am in line, and there's all these people behind me, and I'm the youngest person in the line. I'm 19 years old, and I can't even afford a $20 pack of diapers for my own son. And so when I get home, my mom was like, "Where's the diapers?" I was like, "My car didn't go through." She's like, "Well, good thing you got a job." And I was like, "Well, I just got to let go." And so it was the lowest point of my life as a man. And my dad always said, any guy can have a kid, but it takes a man to raise one. And here I was failing at that, where I couldn't even provide for my son at that time. And so I knew I needed change. And I've always been into reading. In my 20s, I read a book a day. Now in my 30s, I read a book a week. And so I went into Borders, which was like a Barnes and Noble. And I went first through the religious aisle, and nothing there seemed like it was going to help me for what I needed right now. And which was money. And so I was like, okay, let me go to the business aisle because it's all business. And I shit you not, it was like the lights from freaking heaven showing up on this book. And the title of the book was called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, very
And
familiar.
in that book, the very first chapter title changed my entire life. It says the rich don't work for money, they have money work for them. I never
Yep.
heard that concept. Being a Hispanic and growing up in the in a traditional household, we're always taught, go to school, work hard, and then you pay off your bills and blah 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 blah, right? I was never taught use money to help make more money and give you back your time and blah. So in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I learned three main things: the importance of real estate, the importance of business, and the importance of investing. Well, I didn't have money for real estate at 19. I didn't know what to do for business at the age of 19. Investing seemed like the only tangible thing because it involved computers and I was into gaming and stuff. So what I would do is that each weekend I would go into my local library and get books related to trading, investing, finance, personal budgeting, taxes. I mean, anything money related, and learn how money works.
Yeah.
I fast forward, I put myself through my undergrad. I go to Cal Lutheran University. I get an undergrad in biology. I get my first big boy job at Amgen, which is a Fortune 500 biotech company. I started off in the lab and I worked my way up. And then in 2015, I got my first master's. It was a Master of Science in Biotechnology with an emphasis in biomedical tissue engineering. In 2017, I got my second master's, which is an MBA in finance and management. So I have two master's degrees. I have an undergrad. And during that entire time of schooling, I would read books on my free time.
Uh-huh.
I would try and learn. And then in 2014, 2015, and 2016, 3/4 of my paycheck went into the market because I had been living below my means for so many years. I've been living off of $5,000 for many years.
Yeah.
Granted, again, I lived at home, but I still had to provide. I still had to do certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that money, by 2016, I made my first million because all of that money I had invested in biotech companies. That's my background. I worked at Amgen from 2014 to 2023.
Yeah.
So even when I became a millionaire in 2016, I still continued to work at Amgen and build extra income because going back to Rich Dad Poor Dad, going back to Robert Kiyosaki and all these things, it's about multiple streams of income.
Yep.
And so then it became for me now about time. So then I let go of Amgen. Now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I have businesses, I have real estate, I do things to help people learn and grow. And we're financially free. And my definition of financially free is that I have all the time in the world to do things with my family now. I have a wife, I have 3 beautiful kids. Me and my wife, we have 2 together. We have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and then I have my 14-year-old. And my journey, although it was paraphrased, consisted of a lot of hard work, people. And when I was going through school, I would get up at 6 to be at school by 7. I wouldn't get off till 3. On days I had lab, I would stay till 10 p.m. because I took a full load during school. And then on days I didn't have lab, I would go to work. And then on nights, I would get home at 10 o'clock. And then I would stay up. I would try to cram for school. And then I would go and read these self-help books to past midnight. I would get 4 hours of sleep a day for the first couple years of my life in college. And then once I got my big boy job, it just reversed. I went to work first, then I put myself in a master's program, and then out of the master's program, I was working on this dream I had. And what I can tell you guys is there's no cutting corners, right? There is a clear path to success, and that's through hard work and effort. And if you guys can develop a good foundation, you guys will find yourself being successful. And that goes with anything in life, that goes anything with business, that goes with anything real estate or even trading, is you have to put in the work. And it's not just putting in the work. You first have to learn what it is you got to do right. Once you know how to do it right, then you go and put in the work. And reading is one of those things that helped me learn, and it's got me into the position I'm in. And I'm not a flashy guy. I don't care two fucks about Lamborghinis. I don't care about materialistic stuff. I'm not one of these gurus on social media flaunting material. What I have learned is that our most important commodity is time. And it's time that you can never get back. And how you spend that time is super valuable. And how I want to spend my time is with my wife and my kids and building memories, because that's all that ever goes with you is your memories. Your house, your big house doesn't go with you. Your fancy cars don't go with you. Your watches don't go with you. Nothing goes with you. The only thing that's ever going to live on and carry on is how your kids speak of your name, and how those that you've interacted with in your life speak of your name. And that's the only thing that carries on is your legacy. And so for me, it's all about time. And I'm doing this still. And why people ask, well, why do you do this? Is because I want to give people and help people get that same freedom. And then the last question that comes in, why do you charge? Well, it's accountability, right? You're going to have an ROI if you put the work in. That's about me, man.
Okay.
I know it was paraphrased, but hopefully you guys.
That's good. I appreciate your time spending it with us today. Great story, very inspirational. We've had a number of comments already about that, and love to hear those stories and where people are at, where they are. Speaking of time, we are about out of that for today, and would love to let you get back to your family, but so much appreciate you coming on the show today. If you are not legendary status already, then you are well on your way, man. I love it. So
thanks so much, Cam. Thanks everybody for having me on. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you. And we will do a drawing here. It looks like we've got some people in the room. We'll get some coupons out. We'll choose a few people in there. I don't think the form got sent out today, but we'll choose a few people from the chat here and get your coupon code. Thank you for joining us today with Trader Bacon and Andrew Diaz, and hopefully your trading will continue to go well today, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks for joining the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Make sure to join us next time.